Dubai, super competitive. You had a story with a competitor that came from outside. What happened to them?
You need to be an important player in people's lives before you just throw your product on shelves.
Sahar is the founder of a very beautiful brand called Bambuyu. She took a product that was, I think, quite uninspiring and created a stylish brand out of it.
I want to do something that builds a future, not just for me and my family, but literally build something important for the world.
Toilet paper brand. How could it be better in terms of the environment? Or
15% of global deforestation is caused by tissue manufacturing.
tissue manufacturing.
Can you believe it?
You've decided you're gonna do a bamboo as a raw material, and you went to manufacturers here in the UAE. And what happened?
They said it would fail. No one's looking for sustainable tissues. People think I'm insane.
You need to have a lot of courage to do it.
If you're waiting for perfect, you will not
Yeah.
start. Okay, it's not possible to do manufacturing here. We're going to see how we can do it.
So from your experience now, what would you advise the new entrepreneurs entering in this market? Thank you so much for watching us today, for being with us, for subscribing to our channel. We really appreciate it. Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of Mastervision Podcast, a business compass to a successful future. And our role as people behind this podcast is to go and find for you inspiring stories, interesting insights, and practical ideas from around the world that you could use today to grow your business successfully, profitably, and of course meaningfully. Today, my guest is Sahar Karoubi. Sahar is the founder of a very beautiful brand called Bambuyu. She took a product that was, I think, quite uninspiring, a toilet paper and a tissue, and created a stylish brand out of it. And she did it when a lot of people said, don't do it, especially manufacturers. They said, you're gonna fail. But she stayed true to her vision, and this is what she did, a beautiful brand. So I'd like you to hear her story, and I hope get a lot of inspiration from it. Sahar, thank you so much. Welcome to our podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So when I saw your product, the first time it was online, I think on Instagram, I was like, wow, what a beautiful piece of packaging. What a beautiful product. But then when I got to know you and heard the story and the purpose behind your brand, I was truly amazed. And I was also so happy to hear that it was done here in Dubai, in the UAE. Let's start with one thing first. Tell us a little bit more about you, but something, maybe 3 sentences, something that I can't find about you on LinkedIn or your media kit or your CV.
Okay, so I'm a marketeer by education and career, and it kind of felt natural going into the line of business and starting Bambuyu as I did. But I grew up in Iran around nature, and I was always very aware of what my environment meant to me and what I did to impact it. I wanted to collect trash and save animals, and it was always a big part of my life. Obviously, as I grew, I think that passion faded. You get busy with other things, but I carried that forward. And when I became a mom, it just amplified triple-fold, and I knew I wanted to do something with that eventually.
Right. So how did you, so you're a marketeer. I know you had a good corporate career before.
Correct,
right?
Yes.
What, till 3 years ago?
About 4 years ago, yes.
4 years ago.
I was in digital marketing.
Digital
I worked
marketing.
for about 10 years at a digital marketing agency and worked with some of the biggest CPG brands as my clients. I knew I was doing something right. I loved what I did it well. And I always thought, imagine if I could take that and apply it to something that even meant more to me.
So when was that day that you imagined that you could take that and apply it to something?
So it kind of started in parallel worlds, if that makes sense. After becoming a mom, obviously I had I think about 5 years ago, I had my daughter. At that point, I had a toddler too. And you start thinking, I'm away from my children 12 hours a day, love working, but I want to do something that builds a future, not just for me and my family, but literally build something important for the world. So that thought was always there. And I think as my kids grew and I felt like they need me more, I started to think what I can really do with that. At the same time, I had started to reconsider how we shop and the consumer choices that we make at home. And I wanted to improve some of the products that we were using daily, both in terms of the environmental impact that they had and the ingredients that they used. So I looked at our cosmetics and detergents and produce and became better at reading labels and understanding how they're made. And tissues was something that obviously we used multiple times a day.
Especially with kids, right? You realize the waste you produce with little kids.
Absolutely. And I thought, okay, how can they be improved? What are they made from? Obviously, I knew tissues are made from trees, but I didn't know what sort of impact they have or what goes into the supply chain of tissues. And that's when I realized that tree-free tissues are the way to go. The impact on the environment is very taxing. 15% of global deforestation is caused by tissue manufacturing.
Tissue manufacturing.
Can you believe it? It's such a big chunk. And to me, it was an easy fix. Okay, so let's use tree-free tissues. And that part of it is solved. And it wasn't really, okay, let me start a product. I just went out looking for a better toilet paper brand, to be honest. And
what is the better toilet brand?
So
toilet paper brand. How could it be better in terms of the environment or?
Yes. So standard tissues use tree pulp to make their tissues. One, obviously they cause deforestation. Two, they're full of pesticides, dyes, and scents that our bodies don't need. They're not necessary.
In the paper itself, there are pesticides?
So trees are heavily pest prone, so they have to be treated throughout their lives, and you get a raw material that's already been exposed to pesticides
I didn't know
multiple
that.
times.
Oh, wow.
Whereas when you're looking at bamboo, it's a naturally antibacterial plant. It's not a tree, it's a grass essentially. So when you harvest it, it grows right back. It's very renewable, and you just from scratch you get a cleaner, quote unquote, raw material to play with, and obviously it gives you that luxurious softness and absorbance that you need. So it was a very natural alternative for me to look at when we were looking at substitutes for tree-free tissues. The problem was that even in the best of grocery stores, when you walk down the tissue aisle, you don't really have choices. You have
It's just the same paper.
It's the same paper. It's probably made by 2 or 3 big companies. It hasn't really changed for the past century. It's been made the same way. It's just maybe packed differently. The animal that's on the front of the pack is different. Once it's a bear, another time it's an elephant. And
or a feather.
Or a feather. Is it made of feathers? So yeah, there's really no options today, and I wanted to obviously as a first step have that for myself. And eventually over a few months I realized, okay, there's an opportunity here, there's a gap, and we can fill that. And that's when I went on to understand.
Was that realization that happened during your corporate career or after?
It was during.
And you had that realization, you said you're gonna do it?
Yes. So it was over months.
Wow.
It was over months. I would say maybe 9 months of contemplating and trying to figure out, is it something that really means something to customers in the region and in the UAE to begin with. And I felt very convinced towards the end of that experience that it's something that I want to go into.
Yeah, I think because the way you develop it, it obviously doesn't look like a commodity thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's a beautiful brand. And one of the most important thing when you're building a brand is your audience. Because you don't compete, right, on the features. You compete on the love for audience. Your love for their, you compete for audience love. Now, how did you study your audience? Okay, you came up with the idea, I want to do this. How did you test it before even?
If people don't know what they're looking for, they don't really have an answer to it.
Correct.
So I think Ford said, if I had asked people how they'd improve transportation, they would ask for faster horses. And I think with tissues, it was very much the same. I don't think most people knew, or even today, there's much to be discussed still, that there is a better way to use tissues or make tissues. There are alternatives to how I've used my standard toilet paper and tissue box. And so we worked with a small sample size, but it was convincing enough that we're like, we can give this a shot. And it was not a big enough step that I couldn't go back and fix it. So I launched with one product. It was just a toilet paper product.
So you started with a toilet paper. I wish we had that also. It's so beautifully also packed. Yes.
I'll send you some. So that was my kind of first step and first attempt at understanding. So toilet paper was actually our proof of concept, and that's where we built our audience, and it allowed us to develop more products from there. And now really ask my customers, you've tried the toilet paper, it speaks to you, it's a good alternative. It's not a huge premium to do so much better for the environment and remove toxins from your tissues. What can we do next? And that's how our product range has developed over the past 3 years.
So how would you define your audience today? Who are they? What kind of people are they?
So I think at core, it's people who are looking for sustainable solutions, but it's really for everyone. So we have customers who buy our product because it looks fun and they're cool. They actually don't first know the sustainability initiatives that we have. And once they buy the product, they can read the label. There's a lot of communication that we do online with our customers. There's a lot of grassroots conversations that we have. And through that, we're able to convey our sustainability initiatives too. So we're made from bamboo. We're completely plastic free. We've removed all unnecessary additives from tissues that exist in your standard packs. And that I think our design has been fundamental in putting us in the forefront of that category, because we're competing with the big brands, right? We want everyone who uses tissues to consider Bambuyu as an alternative. And I knew that going in with just a green and brown pack like any other sustainable product is not going to help us stand out. And so our colorful, fun, quirky, different tissues really helped us do that, and frankly bring some excitement to the category that hasn't been changed in decades.
And it's such one time, one can think, such a no-brainer. We keep those tissue boxes on the table whole day as part of our, there is that cover thing that you could, but most of them look so ugly.
They really
do. No offense, really, but they're so... because I have breakfast, and now knowing about Bambuyu, I look at all the tissue boxes that we used to buy. They're super duper ugly.
No, absolutely. The feedback that we get a lot is that for the first time, I'm not hiding my tissue boxes anymore. And it plays as a little decorative nugget around the house.
Beautiful. So you, if we go back to how you started, you went to look for manufacturers, right? So you've decided you're gonna do a bamboo as a raw material, use bamboo, and you went to manufacturers here in the UAE.
Yes.
And what happened?
Oh, that was the most the biggest shock to my system, but also the biggest driver of actually wanting to start the business. So I was very adamant that we're going to manufacture locally. And I very confidently took my first prototype and went to, I think, about 20 different suppliers and manufacturers around the UAE. And without fail, all of them told me not only they won't do it because my first initial production round was too small, but they completely discouraged me from doing it. They said it would fail. No one's looking for sustainable tissues. Why don't you just start a tissue brand made from trees and do a nice packaging? So I was like, you know what? This is a signal to me that no one's after it. People think I'm insane. And these are category leaders. And I'm just going to go for it. No one's doing it. Why shouldn't I do it?
You need to have a lot of courage to do it. Was it your family that supported you, or you have that strong?
I'm stubborn as a
All
person, but
right.
I also my husband is an investor, an advisor in the business, and honestly our first fan and customer. So he was with me making all those decisions, and we thought this is really proof that we should go ahead with it. So
And then, so what did you do? You went to two countries, right?
yes, so we looked at manufacturing in China and India. That's where
Yeah.
bamboo grows abundantly, generally. The quality that we got from China made more sense. It was better quality. It's also when you're manufacturing with a partner, you're looking at value alignment, you're looking at expertise, you're looking at future R&D possibilities that we could do. And China is a place where they've used bamboo as regular household tissue for years and
Oh,
years.
really?
So we actually get a lot of insights ahead of the region and what we think is right from a market that's cooked and experienced and can really help us develop new ideas and new ways of creating better tissues at the highest quality.
So you produce there,
We produce there.
closer to the source.
Correct.
Do you consider yourself as a local brand?
Oh, absolutely. So we're born in the UAE. The products are designed here with regional designers, and I think being a local brand is beyond where your supply chain starts and stops. I would say I was personally very inspired from the way the country operates and its appetite for taking big steps that no one else sees possible. And that kind of ingrains that can-do attitude in everyone that starts a business here. And eventually the plan is to bring more of the supply chain closer to home. So obviously we've started with packaging our products here. Next step is looking at manufacturing parts of it in the region as well. And I think our long-term plan, that's probably a 10-year plan that I have in mind, is attempting to grow bamboo in the UAE. And that is not just an attempt for us to have raw material for one brand, is to bring more agility to the region, is to create reforestation and abundance of a raw material that can be used across multiple industries.
This is so inspiring. You think of it started with the toilet paper, and in 10 plus years, you're looking at the growing bamboo in the region. I mean, this is absolutely inspiring. This is a true local brand, true leadership, visionary brand that, as the visionary leadership here we have in the country. It's one product, but has such a beautiful and inspiring future and vision. So I know that some of people until today question you calling yourself a local brand.
Yeah, we've had that, and I think the narrative or the way people think about local brands changes, and it's improving, and there's more understanding of, okay, not everything can grow in the UAE, not every raw material can be sourced locally. But it's really funny because one retail partner that we were in discussions with said, oh, well, maybe you can just remove the packaging that you have and put it in another packaging that's been made in the UAE and call yourself made in the UAE. And to me, that was surprising. And also, I want to have transparency. I want my customers to be able to look at my product and look at my label and truly deep dive into the story as much as I have. And they've been part of every step that we've taken to come closer to home. So yeah, it's always interesting talking to different people and how they view.
Let's define it. What would be for us a local brand? What is it? Is it 100% everything idea and manufacturing locally, or it's values and the leadership and the vision behind it? And the future, bringing the bamboo trees in here. Are they called trees? Trees.
A plant
Plants,
or grass.
Sorry. Yeah, grass. So what would be a local brand?
So I think it definitely starts with the values and leadership and the vision that you have for the brand and what it speaks to, the customers it serves, the headquarter and the mindset of that platform. And obviously, looking at the supply chain, it would be beautiful. It would be amazing if everything from 0 to 10 was done here. But also, as a business, as you're starting, you have to think, what's the first feasible step I can take? And how can I improve that as I go along? If you're waiting for perfect, you will not start. And I think that was the same story with us. Okay, it's not possible to do manufacturing here. We're going to see how we can do it. I'm going to have my proof of concept. I'm going to have thousands of customers who are asking for a different type of product, and then kind of building it from there. And, I think waiting for that everything done here mentality is probably going to put burden on the business and its growth. And even if you look at other categories, like look at a cookie shop, right? They probably source their chocolate from somewhere else. They probably get their flour from another country. It's the ingredients that goes into it and the making of it that happens in country. And I would encourage
Dubai chocolate.
Dubai, what an incredible sensation.
Right. So what do you think? What do you think the mentality of the region is like? What is that? We've mentioned values. What are those values or leadership or visionary mindset that people have here?
I think it's the mentality of possibilities are possible. Right. People want more. People have access to the best of everything, yet we still want to exercise information and we want to know more about things and we want to ask for better things to be available for us, and both as customers and business owners, and I think it's an underestimated region to an extent. We always think, oh, we're inspired by the West, and there's so much to be inspired by from here and our roots and what's available to us information-wise and insight-wise. And, UAE in particular, you get hundreds of cultures mixed together, and that has such a beauty in how it transforms to customer consumption habits. Like, not everyone can be put into one pocket. You have, for us, we get to have a lot of fun speaking to different customers in various ways and seeing what really resonates with our younger audience, what resonates with our Western audience, what resonates with our Khaliji customers. And you probably don't get that everywhere else.
And this is how I can see that you've been here for a long time, because you said inspired by the Western world. And this is how, because to give the perspective to the audience, I think about even 10 years ago or 15, a lot of things where people go outside, they bring ideas, right? They see something amazing in America or Europe and they bring it here. Now the whole thing has changed. I've seen and that's how I still remember Dubai. We go somewhere, we bring it here. But now I see with the new people who came here, they don't look at it like that anymore, right? They actually think, oh, it's Dubai. They take ideas now from Dubai and going to Europe even with those ideas. So it's absolutely a different, what a twist. I think since Expo especially, it really changed the whole spirit.
I think so too. And there's just you get a lot of empowerment and courage from the success of others, and it just feeds into itself.
But there's still a lot of competition, right? It's one I've heard it's one of the highly competitive country in the world. Even is super, or we would say Emirate, Dubai, super competitive. The whole world wants to play here now. I know you had a story with a competitor.
Yes.
That came from outside. We're not going to mention the name, right? Yeah. Tell us a little bit of what happened to them.
So let me let me take a step back and maybe tell you about what was our go-to-market strategy,
Yes,
and it will
yes.
make more sense.
Yeah, let's do that.
So when I first launched, we launched as a direct-to-consumer brand, so customers can find us on our own website. And then from there, we went on to launch into big e-commerce and quick commerce channels, which have been beautiful. Barrier to entry is generally lower. You're speaking to customers who are already looking for the information. You're
Right.
able to have the right keywords and have the right imagery to explain your product better than you can going on shelves and sitting next to big brands and getting 1% of the space that they consume. So that has been our strategy for the past few years. Slowly, we're entering retail, but after doing a lot of grassroots exercise and being available on every single big e-commerce channel that you can buy. So Amazon, Noon, Talabat, Kareem, Kipsons. It really
Everything
is
there.
where you're shopping for groceries or tissues, we're there. So we had a brand enter the market. I think it was maybe early December. They were on shelves for 2 months and then they disappeared.
A direct competitor, you would
Direct
say,
competitor
if
also,
they were here.
Yeah, absolutely. Also a sustainable brand. And, I think the assumption can be that you can't just enter the market without having connected with the customers, understood the cultural nuances, and really being part of people's everyday lives. We're in people's weddings, we're on their supper club tables, we're at on psychotherapy tables, we're in schools, we're in hotels, in their favorite restaurants. And I think that speaks to customers in a way that nothing else can. So I would say for not just in our category, but for any brand that's starting that conversation, you need to start grassroots and you need to be an important player in people's lives before you just throw your product on shelves.
And I think also the cultural aspect, right? Without telling the name, I think the name also was maybe not suitable for this part of the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like what you said. You become a part of daily life.
Yeah.
How did you do it? How did you get into their lives? And I know people here, they take time to build the trust and so on.
Yeah.
How did you manage to become part of their daily life?
So I think a lot of it was unplanned. When we started, I didn't have a lot of money for marketing, so it was sampling with friends and family. We did a few influencer gifts. We couldn't even pay influencers, so it was literally reaching out to people that I thought would love our product and would use it every day, and it kind of grew from there. And it became very quickly, over I think 2 months, it spiraled into these micro communities ordering from us. So I knew if we sold in I don't know, if we sold on Al Wasl Road, we would get 20 orders from Al Wasl Road the next day. It was just literally being in people's home and someone seeing it and their friends ordering it. And we even had people in the very early days buying our toilet paper as gifts for their friends and family.
Really?
Yes.
Can you imagine? You bring a toilet paper?
It really was, because they're beautiful,
amazing.
they're different. It's a good way to start someone else on their sustainability journey.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was anything that we had designed, but it really became just part of everyday life. And it's a very easy product to do it with, because it's something that you're buying anyways, right?
You're absolutely right.
Everyone uses toilet paper. Everyone needs some sort of tissues in their home. Everyone uses kitchen towels in their kitchen. And so it's not something that we were asking people to change their behavior for. Mm-hmm. You're using it the same way. It's just better for you and better for the environment.
And the price range, is it similar, or is it
it depends on the product. There is a small premium, but I would say it's definitely a premium that our customers find very affordable. So you buy our toilet paper starting for a pack of 26 dirhams. You get our tissues for like 9 dirhams a pack. And it's, if you're buying already good quality tissues, let's say, sometimes you're paying the same or less with Bambuyu.
What do you think? Because I know the whole idea of purpose-driven brands here several years ago was not even, it was just talks, but not really existent. Now I see it's a lot of people, I think it's the government agenda also that drives it, but I see more and more sustainable brands. What do you think still for your product? Is it more the beauty of it because it's beautiful, or it's the purpose of it that as a sustainability, that main driver?
I would say today the main driver is design. I
Design,
have to
yeah.
say it's probably a bit more than 50% of the
Yeah.
reason people buy the product. But it's been shifting, and we've been experiencing that. The pull is that, okay, it's a beautiful design, it's also sustainable. Maybe a couple of years down the line, it would be more of it's sustainable and it's beautiful, and that's completely fine. We knew what we're entering, and we knew the hand holding that we need to do while we build that awareness and conversation around sustainability, and we take it on ourselves to have that conversation. No one owes us to come into this category knowing exactly what to expect.
Let's do a little bit of practical, maybe case study.
Yeah.
I would like us. I know yesterday I had a conversation. The lady was opening a gift business, so gifting business. Had a conversation. People want to open, I don't know, a brisket, a cookie business, and a lot of solopreneurs now are happening, coming to Dubai and trying their things. Could you give us, I don't know, step by step, some advice of what to do, how to start here? Because it's quite expensive place to be, right?
Yeah,
so you can burn all your cash very quickly. So from your experience now, what would you advise the new entrepreneurs entering in this market? What are the steps?
Yeah. So I would say start small but smart.
Okay.
So you don't need to, for us, I didn't feel the need to launch 10 products before went into the market. Focus, start, have a plan for it, back it up with your financials, know your runway. How much am I giving this experience? Is it 6 months? Is it 1 year? Can I still survive and live off my savings or whatever if I can? Because it is a taxing experience running a startup. So I think take that first step, make it small, achievable, but clever. And 2, surround yourself with a network that can support you. It could be advisors, it could be potential investors, it could be friends and family or colleagues that you trust and can bring in expertise that you don't have. So for me, starting Bambuyu, I knew I had obviously the marketing and packaging and general CPG mindset, but there was so much that I personally didn't know, like the logistics part and supply chain and eventually getting ourselves ready for shelves and getting our product ready for quick commerce. All of these were things that I either learned along the way or I engaged freelancers, advisors, and people that I trusted. So I think you need to start with a handful of people that can mentally support you and listen to your customers. It's so easy at the beginning. Honestly, it becomes harder as you grow because you're not, you don't have the bandwidth, or your customers are not, 20 or 30 anymore that you can pick up the phone and speak.
Yeah.
But that's what I spent my time doing those first 2 months. I would call every customer after they'd ordered. I became friends with all of our, I would say our first 100 customers are still customers, and they're people that we check in on each other for birthdays. And it really is such a powerful initial experience. So stay as close to your customers as you can, and you can do that with your service or your product. It doesn't matter. But I think there's a wealth of knowledge in those early days that you don't get to have that again, and big brands don't have it. So the heavier you get as a business, the more you grow, the more difficult it becomes to tap into that.
And what about market competition and changes that are happening in the market? Was it important for you at certain time, or you just focus on your thing?
Yeah, so I think I had a good idea about what our potential competitors could be, but that meant that from the beginning we're going to differentiate and we're going to offer something that hasn't been done before. But I don't think you need to go into a market that doesn't have any competition. I think it just so happened that for us, direct competition was limited, but you can still go into a competitive market or industry and create something unique, either through what you personally offer differently or through an innovation, or just something that everyone else thinks is completely bonkers, and you can convince your customers to experience it.
What would be unique? How would you define uniqueness in your own words? What would be uniqueness? Because a lot of people think unique is, oh, we're better quality, or we're lower price. What would be unique for you?
So for us, I wanted the entire experience to feel fresh.
Right.
So it's not just the packaging, it's not just the product, right? Let's take it for granted that you have a great product and you have a great proposition.
Yeah.
So your customers, if they're convinced, they'll end up with something really, really cool. But it's what you do before and after it that makes the journey and experience. So from the first interactions our customers have with us, which usually happens on Instagram, to be honest, it's colorful, it's fun. The email they get even before they buy to explain why we set it up, who I am, what the business is, the impact we've had so far, how they can be involved in our sustainability activities and mission, and then how we continue the journey with them. So continuing that conversation and being there for our customers, whether it's through continuous surveys to understand what they want next, or listening to something they weren't happy with and improving that. So I think uniqueness doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, here's a new invention that no one has ever seen. It's how do you make it different? Because the value that you can add is going to go much farther than a one-off product innovation that you've created.
I think your story, right? The story, it's. I love the idea that I order, but then you send me your story, the impact that you bring. It makes it straight away no-brainer what the value of the product is, above just the purchasing price and the raw material cost. It's beautiful. Now you are in the period of raising money, correct? Yes. How was that experience? But I'd like to own a story, the one that you shared with me when we were preparing.
Yeah, I'm going to try to remember
the tech part that most people.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So listen, fundraising is no fun, or it's a lot of work. It's a lot of conversations. It's you are essentially not just selling your product to customers, you're trying to convince someone else's buy-in on your brand. So it's a journey you have to be ready for. Your financials have to be set and clear for your investors. You have to go in honest and clear, because no matter how much you try to hide, if you're getting an investor on board, everything comes out 6 months down the line. So you need to create that transparency and trust from day one. And we've spoken to many potential investors, and a lot of the VCs, their first choice of investment would be tech generally. That's what we've experienced in the region in particular. In the West, it's slightly different. There's more interesting valuations going on consumer products. So
here is tech.
Here is tech. It's okay. Show me the hockey stick. How can you do 100x? And all valid questions. All valid questions.
Yeah.
It's your money. You decide how you invest it. But I think the mindset is shifting. And when you're talking to investors who have that understanding, or who have worked with CPG brands before, there is that knowledge of, okay, consumer products act differently in terms of growth, but there's huge potential in growth, and there's value in creating commodities essentially that people use and improving them and kind of amplifying that growth over the years. So yeah,
It's a long, it's a full of patience.
it's full of patience, but also very exciting. Honestly, nothing is more validating than knowing that people trust in your vision and in what you believe you can do.
How important was that whole impact and sustainability for you when do they ask when you're trying to raise money? Do they care?
Yes.
They do?
Yes. Not everyone,
Yeah.
mind you, but yes, I think that's a big part of the why of the brand. So without that, we would just be another tissue brand that looks nice. So our current investors, they're called Homegrown Ventures, and they generally invest in consumer brands born in the region with a purpose. So that was a beautiful marriage, I would say. We were both on the same page. We believe in the same values, and it's been a big driver in setting the foundations for the growth of Bambuyu.
Beautiful. Now I want to go into so I love the whole business. I think there's a lot of things that we can learn here from. I want to get a little bit to the more your personal life as a mother and wife and a businesswoman. Is there balance in life for you? This is more my pain.
No, I don't think I didn't go into it looking for balance.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how unbalanced it would be. And I
You
think
didn't realize how unbalanced it's going to be?
no, I mean, I think before going into it, you're like, oh, obviously, yes, I'm going to spend time building something, and I'm an adult. I can manage my time and my priorities. And I think priorities get shuffled around. I don't think I create perfect balance. I kind of dedicate some weeks purely to work and get things over the line. And then some weeks look a bit more different. And I do it the other way around. But yeah, it's...
Do you feel this is something that I've been struggling for over 20 years as an entrepreneur. Every day I think, did I do enough? But if I could just do, what is this enough today? Is this enough?
It's never enough.
It's never enough.
It's never enough on either side. I never feel I'm doing everything I can for my family and everything I can for the business. But I think that goes for everyone. So it's a leveled ground, I would say. I think everyone's on the same boat. And as our team has grown, I find somewhat of a balance.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Because you feel like you can share this. If you take off, you feel like there's still someone
Absolutely.
working.
And I started Bambuyu as a solo founder. I still am a solo founder, but more supported by a team and a structure. So it was definitely, I think, where it makes sense, if I can give another advice, start with a co-founder. It is
questionable.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
I think the right co-founder can go a long way.
I think. Do you know what? I'll share this experience. Maybe a lot of people's done it already. But I was about 3 days ago, I felt burned out. I don't know. I felt like there's nothing that excited me about work anymore. And it's normal. We all get into that. So I was like, what am I going to do? What to do? So I opened ChatGPT. And I complained. I said, act as my business advisor, coach, and psychologist. And then I put everything in there, everything so I use audio, and then it's transcribed to the writing, everything, what I'm trying to achieve, what projects I work on, what other things I work on, and so on. And I said, now I need to sort this thing out. And I put it there. Unbelievable.
That's so fascinating.
Unbelievable. And I was shocked because it said, this project, and it remembers everything. This project you told me about, this is not important project. You have to either finish it quickly or don't spend time on it or something, or leave it because this is not, and then it gives you a logical explanation why it shouldn't be on your table.
Interesting.
Business growth, everything. We know sort of all this information, but it's some kind of, in our brain is like there.
Yeah.
Here, it gives you exactly by your project, the logical way. This is don't do this, do that, don't do this. This one try to finish earlier. This one don't spend time on this. One project in particular is a project that I do free of charges. I thought it was CSR type of thing.
Yeah.
And then it understood me and said, no, it's not. It's the fear driver.
How?
Imagine.
Wow.
I said, it's not a CSR for you. It's a fear driver. You're being scared of and, can you imagine?
That's amazing.
So yesterday I did a test.
I will do that.
Try it.
Yeah.
But you give to everything. So you record an audio. I had 10 minutes of complaining and going through each project. I just wanted to test it. Yesterday I said, okay, let's do it. In the morning I said, what is my priorities? And then it gives me time. I said at 3:30 I want to go and be with my kids. At 3:30 it says, it's time for you to go to your kids and remember, don't think about work. And then it gives you that. It's unbelievable.
I will definitely try that.
Try it. I wanted to share it because maybe you guys doing it. I don't know. I'm just learning my way, but it's the first time in a long time I said, wow, this thing is incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
So try it. And then you keep that chat. You can, you have your own GPT.
Yes.
You keep it and then you just work with it as your assistant every day. But it's not just an assistant. It's like a psychologist, coach and everything together.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So today they told me, yes, you need to prepare for the podcast. And while driving there, focus only on that. To that extent. Even.
Yeah, I think there's so much power in clearing your head for important things, and as founders we end up having, obviously we have the personal stuff, but then there's so much floating around for your business and they're all in different divisions and you are every division within your company. So just to prioritize, I think is to have the ability to say these can wait, these cannot, and this is what I'm going to focus on right now and finish it is really, really powerful.
But with this thing, it works so more effective. By the time you write what's more important, it already gives you the answer and why. And you can argue with it also. But it also has its own it's stubborn, quite stubborn also. So
that's
amazing for clarity.
Done. That'll be my exercise tonight.
So I would love to ask you 3 more questions. Something that I want to ask every guest on the Mastervision podcast. The first one is, there's a lot of things happening in the world. And I know that a lot of us are worried about the future. Even my example with AI.
Yeah.
It's incredible, but it's quite scary also. How do you see the future? What's your vision for the future?
So I'm... it might be my fault, but I'm a big optimist. Yes. So I try not to focus on things that I can't control. Honestly, I think we all worry about stuff, but things that are out of my control, they're out of my control, and I'm not going to dwell too much on them. And it's staying on my track and seeing, one, how can I best prepare, first and foremost, my kids for a world that might change, and that change could be in any form. Today the world looks like this, 10 years down the line, it might look different. How can I create resilient children and have a resilient family? And 2 is, how can I go outside my family and contribute to the wellness of as big a community as I can? And for me, Bambuyu has been that tool. It's been my tool to build a more resilient forest structure, to reduce deforestation, to think about building a greener UAE truly by attempting to grow bamboo here in the country, and to be able to give back. And I think sometimes we think, how do I give back? But I'm too small. But what I can do is I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough expertise to give. And I think there's always some way you can do that. For me, I consider myself lucky that the product that I've created can do a part of that for me and can be future oriented rather than let's just do something now that's successful for 2 years and then I'm out. But I think there's always an opportunity to think bigger, and that's everything else is a variable. Everything else around you can change, but who you are and the family or structure that you're building around yourself, and thinking selflessly about the extended world.
I think from my side, the giving back is even if you help two people, imagine with that attitude, we all help two people only. The whole, if everyone, even if it's 70% of people in that state of mind, that's it. A lot of things will be sorted out.
Yeah.
So I don't think maybe it's not so much how many people you help, or it's the
mindset.
Just do it.
Yes.
Yeah, just do it. And that's why I want to ask you also, this is not according to these questions, but a lot of people they're skeptical about this giving back on purpose. They think that this is more like a marketing trick. Were you always like this? And I think you've mentioned, yes, you were always. Was it the school, or what was or were you born like that?
I don't know. I think some things are just, you're wired that way, but it also helped that my maternal side of the family are botanists, and my grandfather was the first importer of stem roses into Iran, and so I was always surrounded by nature. He was in love with his garden and his plants, and so it was kind of around me growing up, and experiencing just what the world has to give around you, and literally, I water this plant, it grows. It's simple things, right?
Yeah.
And I try to replicate that for my kids. So the schools or the nurseries that we even chose for them, I wanted it to be nature-based, and I wanted them to learn and respect animals and plants. And,
Beautiful.
We're all part of a bigger thing.
Beautiful. The next question is the challenges. So the world is full of challenges. That's how it feels now. Though I call it blind optimism.
Yeah.
I read it somewhere. I didn't come up with this phrase. I think we need to be blind optimists now to really go forward. So when you have those days when, I don't know, feel burnout or a lot of challenges, something didn't work out, what drives you? How do you put yourself back?
I think I feel liable, one, to our customers and clients. So I think this is something that I've started and it's gained traction, and I need to push through. And I think I get power from listening back to what our customers have to say, or what clients have to say, or the growth that we experience. And it's also, what example am I setting for my kids if I give up? So I always try to be very honest with them. If I'm having a tough day, I tell them it's a hard day, but tomorrow is a fresh day, and we're gonna take a break and rest and recover and do it all over again. And I think that's definitely
so this responsibility.
Yes.
Responsibility, accountability, and responsibility in front of your kids and customers.
Yes.
Beautiful. I think motherhood really changes. It's not like I want to go into that topic now, but it does changes. It gives such a strength to a woman.
It really does. Yeah. It really does. I honestly haven't, I'm not going to say I haven't seen, but I see a lot of mothers working around me, moms who've just had a baby or who have 3-4 kids. And I see the drive and the reason. And I think it just adds a little something that's maybe not in you before. It just gives you that extra push and encouragement to do it and do it better and set an example and involve your kids in something that they can potentially be a part of a few years down the line.
So those who don't want to hire mothers, because I know there are still people that have worried about hiring women with kids. Wrong choice.
Honestly, you're more productive. You're
responsible, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You work on zero energy always.
But it works.
God gives you some extra thing for you to survive. There's no energy usually.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll look back and think how we did it, but we somehow.
So just one thing, one important question. Before you're making a very big decision, you as the founder of the company, what question should you ask yourself before you go, okay, I need to decide on this?
I think, okay, So I have to give you some context about me. I'm very risk averse. So by nature, I usually really think about the decision before I go into it. But I think what I've learned to do, because to grow, you just have to take some risks. I think what's the worst thing that can happen? And if
you're prepared for it.
If you're prepared for it, we dive into it. And I think as a small business, you also as a business in the early stages, you also have that opportunity to make decisions quickly, test it, and say, okay, that didn't quite stick. We'll do it. We'll do plan B. Whereas I think maybe with bigger businesses, you have the hierarchy and you go through layers of approval, and
but then you can always blame someone. That's true.
I
think it's easy.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
Yeah.
This is so nice. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sahar.
you. This is lovely.
Now when I see you in person, because we were more online communicating, I can see the light and the kindness that have been translated to your product. It's your products. They're like you. Beautiful, design, happy, positive. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Good. We do this.
Nice.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You are very beautiful. I'm
oh
honestly,
my God, you're so,
I'm looking at you.
You're so kind. You are. You're
no, honestly, you're such a kind person that this world needs more of you.
Oh, thank you.
I think you should go to all the podcasts. I have a list. My kids, my team can give you. You should go to all the podcasts. We need more guests.